Okay, so continuing from our last point, let's say that we had these two solid bodies as an example. However, we've designed it as one solid body, right? Using the combine tool, and this is a more advanced technique or method, but as you learn to model more, you get more experience, you'll understand how some of these features work better. But the combine tool can also separate geometry. However, the issue with separating geometry is you need a surface to separate. So right now it says, okay, you have to select a cutting surface. Obviously, to be able to cut the surface between this nut and the bolt, we sort of need an intermediary surface between the two. Obviously, this is not an easy task to do, but however, just as a quick example, if we go onto here and we create a sketch that's similar to that surface area, we can use the pull tool on the surface, and obviously it's very difficult to select from the workspace the surface that we've just created because it lies inside of 3D geometry. In this scenario, you need to use the structure tree. You can, using the no merge option, so it's a separate body, you can create sort of another surface body or another solid within this solid that we've created. Right, so now we have two solids. If we didn't use the no merge option, this would have just continued being one solid. Now if we select this solid and we hit combine, right, we can select this surface as the cutting edge, right? Now, what we've done, right, just using the cut tool, we've separated all of this geometry into several different areas, right? So, did we actually achieve what we intended to do? Well, partially yes, because if we select the nut and we hit on move, right? No. Need to select the solid body first. We can theoretically now move the nut away from the bolt. However, you can see we don't have just two solid bodies anymore. We sort of split the geometry into several solid bodies. But that's not exactly what we want. Now, if we select all of the bodies that we wish to be in one solid region, right? So all of these bodies over here that form the body of the bolt, and we click combine again, obviously it's a set of different steps, and as you go along you can learn to do this in a more efficient way or different techniques to go about it. But as you can see, even with my experience, it's not that direct that we do this. But in the end, using different techniques, we've managed to sort of recombine the bolt back into one solid body, which we can move around, we can rotate it, we can move it out, we can move it in. And obviously, as an example, if someone gave us this geometry and they've done it sort of as an export into one solid body and we wanted to split that geometry, you could also use the combine tool. Obviously, it's a bit counterintuitive because the word combine means joining together surfaces or objects, but you can use combine even the opposite way to split surfaces and bodies. But as you've seen over here, it's a more complicated process. It can involve several steps. It can involve drawing additional geometry. It's only used for a limited range of applications. However, considering 3D printing technologies, usually what is the case, you design all of these pieces in situ. So that means one at a time. So you'd initially design the bolt, then you design the nut to go on top of the bolt as a separate piece, as a separate entity. in a new project, maybe you'd want to import the geometry of the bolt. So let's say you've created the bolt, you've saved it, you drag and drop the bolt into your workspace, or you go File, Open, you open the bolt into your workspace, and you can use the bolt sort of as guiding geometry for the nut, right? Another feature that we can discuss is, obviously we've mentioned that you can use this technique to sort of add several different heads to one bolt, so you can use several different tools. But obviously, if you wanted to edit it and sort of align the heads of the bolts together, you can do that using the Move tool, which we'll later discuss, right? Obviously, if this was one geometry, you'd have to, or one solid body, you'd have to split that in order to be able to actually rotate the feature of, the surface of the nuts, and then you'd have to recombine it. These are some more advanced techniques and tools, but it's relatively easy to learn. The more you experiment and play around with these tools, features, and options, the more comfortable and confident you will be using them. That's the purpose of this additional session on top of the week content, is to go over some of the additional features, additional content, some, top tips and techniques that you can use. But the main learning outcome of each week is to learn the basic tools. If you learn the basics and you plan your work, plan your design properly, you won't need to go back in to edit it as such as I've been doing up to now. Right? You could have obviously designed this as one piece from the beginning, from the get-go. If you've drawn a polygonal surface over here and another intersecting polygonal surface, and you did the multiple part extrude. So let's see how we could have done this in one iteration. Yeah, rather than all the 3D CAD manipulation that we've done up to now. This is just pretty much an example to show you that there are different techniques and different ways that we can go about creating geometry, right? Look at that. Just by using two sketch tools, the polygonal tool and this circle tool, so we can use the pull tool, and then we can sort of erase the surface. We erase that surface out. Can erase, actually, if we go back, can erase that over there, right? And then, actually, it might have been better to create that over there. Now we can select these surfaces. There we go. Or actually, let's do it much at less of an incline. So you can see just with a few clicks, or wait, let's also add the chamfer over here just to get the initial design that we've been working on. Right? Just with a few clicks, if you have proper planning, you can create the same geometry that it took us, like 20 or 15 minutes. You can create the same geometry in just 1 or 2 minutes if you plan ahead. And that's the main concept that I'm trying to teach over here in this practice session, is proper planning, some additional tools that you can use, a different method of looking at things, or looking at design perspectives, how we can create all of the different geometry, right? There's no one right or one true and tested method to create all of these. Every project that you undertake, every model that you start to design, it's going to be a fresh challenge, right? And there's several ways to tackle that. There's no one right way. any method that you use. So you can use the initial 20-minute method where you create two different bodies and combine them together into one combined body, or you can do it in one go and create one combined body in one go. Both of those methods are correct. As long as you achieve your end design goal, that's good. Right? So don't be worried to play around. Don't be worried of, oh, is this method the best way to do it, or is this method the correct way to do it? As long as you achieve, right, the actual design intent or your final design that both you are happy with or your customer or your boss is happy with, then that's good. No one's going to judge your technique really at the end of the day. Obviously, if you do it in a faster way, that's better from an efficiency perspective. However, at the start, everything will take a bit longer because you're not familiar with the hotkeys or the tools. Just knowing all the key bindings can, really speed up the design process. But all of that comes with experience. That's why generally when you're looking for a job or applying for jobs, they ask for experience or design examples so they know your proficiency with the software or how fast you can design parts. All of that just comes with practice. The more parts you design, the better you will get at designing the parts. So don't stress if it's a bit difficult for you to sort of grasp or create these designs in a quick way, or it takes you a bit longer to familiarize yourself with the tools. It all comes with practice. We all start from zero, and the more we play around, the only differences between experts and beginners is the time that they've spent using the tool.